Dr. Amelia Carrington stared at the display panel, her mind wrestling with the data that defied every known law of physics. The Erebus, a deep space exploration vessel, had been dispatched to the edges of the known universe, beyond the grasp of human comprehension. What they found was a dead star, an impossibility in itself, black and silent, a void against the tapestry of stars. But the data, it told a different story. The star wasn't dead, it was something else. Something alive, perhaps. Or a gateway to another dimension, a place where the rules of their universe no longer applied. "Captain," Amelia's voice was a whisper, the fear evident despite her training. This isn't natural. We should leave." Captain Marcus Holt, a veteran of countless space missions, stood beside her, his jaw clenched. He was a man who had seen the unthinkable, but nothing had prepared him for this. "Leave? We're here to explore, Doctor. Whatever this is, it's the discovery of a lifetime." Amelia's eyes never left the display. The readings were growing more erratic, the star's gravitational field fluctuating wildly as if it were breathing. "Captain, I don't think we should be here. We have no idea what we're dealing with." The captain looked at her, and for a moment she saw a flicker of doubt in his eyes. But it was gone as quickly as it appeared. "We press on. Prepare the drone. We're sending it in." The drone descended into the darkness of the dead star, its cameras capturing nothing but an endless void. The crew watched in silence, the tension palpable. Amelia felt a cold sweat trickle down her back. The drone's feed showed nothing, yet the instruments indicated something was there, something massive, something ancient. The silence was deafening, a void within the void. "Dr. Carrington, do you see that?" Lieutenant Graves, the ship's chief engineer, pointed at the screen. A distortion, barely perceptible, rippled through the blackness. Amelia leaned closer. It was as if the darkness itself was moving, writhing like a living thing. "It's not a star," she murmured. "It's an entity. We need to—" Before she could finish, the drone's feed cut out, replaced by static. A low, thrumming noise reverberated through the ship, a sound that seemed to emanate from the very hull of the Erebus. The crew exchanged nervous glances as the noise grew louder, more insistent, as if something was trying to speak, trying to break through from another world. "Shut it down," Holt barked. Shut it all down, but it was too late. The ship's lights flickered, and the thrumming became a roar, an unearthly howl that seemed to tear at the fabric of reality itself. Amelia clutched her head as the sound burrowed into her mind. A cacophony of voices, alien and incomprehensible. Then, as suddenly as it began, the noise stopped. The ship was plunged into silence once more, but it was a silence thick with dread. "Status report," the captain demanded, his voice strained. "Systems are stable," Graves replied, his hands trembling. "But we're receiving a signal. It's coming from inside the star." Amelia's heart pounded in her chest. "That's impossible. We lost the drone. There's nothing there." "No," Graves said, his voice barely a whisper. "There's something, and it's calling us." Days passed in a blur of nightmares and hallucinations. The crew's morale deteriorated as the signal continued to pulse through the ship, a constant reminder of the unfathomable presence lurking in the darkness. Amelia found herself drawn to the signal, unable to resist its pull. It was like a siren's song, a melody that echoed in the recesses of her mind, promising knowledge, power, and something else, something darker. The captain's resolve had weakened. His orders grew erratic, his once steely gaze now haunted by visions of impossible geometries and cities that defied logic. The rest of the crew fared no better. Some had locked themselves in their quarters, refusing to speak, while others wandered the ship, muttering to themselves in languages no one understood. Amelia knew she had to do something, but she was powerless. The ship was no longer theirs. It belonged to the entity, the thing that slumbered in the void, waiting for them to cross the threshold into madness. And then it happened. The Erebus began to move, drawn toward the dead star by an invisible force. The engines were offline, yet the ship was accelerating, pulled inexorably toward the entity's embrace. "Captain!" Amelia shouted, but Holt was beyond reason, his eyes glazed over, lost in some eldritch vision. She turned to Graves, who was furiously working at his console. "We're being pulled in," he said, his voice flat, devoid of hope. "There's nothing we can do." Amelia's mind raced. The signal, the entity was luring them in, a spider drawing its prey into the web. But why? What did it want? "We have to destroy the ship," she said, the words tasting like ash in her mouth. "It's the only way." Graves looked at her, his expression one of resigned acceptance. "Do it." She didn't hesitate. Her fingers flew over the console, initiating the ship's self-destruct sequence. The Erebus shuddered as the countdown began, the crew barely registering the change. The entity's presence grew stronger, its influence suffocating, as if it knew what they were doing. Amelia could feel it in her mind, probing, searching, trying to understand these strange beings that had dared to challenge it. And then, in the final moments, she understood. It wasn't a star. It wasn't even alive in any way they could comprehend. It was a door to a place outside their universe, a place where time and space twisted into impossible shapes, where the laws of physics were mere suggestions. As the ship's alarms blared, Amelia saw it in her mind's eye, the other side. A vast, endless city of black stone, its architecture defying all logic, stretching into infinity. And the beings that dwelled there, things that had no form, no substance, yet were more real than anything she had ever known. They were ancient, older than the universe itself, and they had been waiting for something like the Erebus to open the door. The explosion tore through the ship, a flash of light in the darkness of space, and the Erebus was gone, consumed by the silent abyss. But the door remained, and it was open. The signal was picked up by another ship months later, a faint echo in the void. It was a distress call, garbled and broken, but still unmistakable. "This is the Erebus. We have encountered something. Do not approach. Repeat, do not approach." The crew of the rescue ship listened, their faces pale, as the message repeated over and over, growing more distorted each time. Then, just before the signal cut out, a final chilling message came through in a voice that was not quite human. "They are here." And then only silence. The rescue ship reported the incident, but no one believed them. It was dismissed as a malfunction, a glitch in the system. But those who heard the signal knew the truth, even if they could never speak of it. The door had been opened, and something had come through,